Now, this had to be the best NBA trade deadline of all time. Teams were making moves to compete. The Suns made the move to get Kevin Durant, and every other Western team and Eastern Conference team were making moves to, be at that same level. Let's start off with some winners and some losers. Now, the losers, I think, has to be the Chicago Bulls, coming off, doing nothing off the NBA trade deadline. You lose to the Brooklyn Nets, who have no more superstars on their team. Ben Simmons is the only person with some all stars on his nod, and he's terrible now. So Spencer Dinwiddie gave us 26. Cam Thomas gave us 20 points. And it's really frustrating because we could have did something at the deadline, whether it be make some moves to, further our contention in the playoffs, possibly get in the playoffs. But no, we didn't do shit. And, possibly I've seen some trade deadline rumors that we possibly could have got Derrick Rose back. Now, I would have been okay with giving Levine up, getting Quentin Grimes some picks and some stuff back, but nah, it just wasn't the case. I no longer trust in AK. He's not like Ryan Poles. They are two different guys. But another team I thought lost in this deadline was the Grizzlies. Now, you saw them as a top team in the West. You saw them being able to compete and possibly go to the NBA Finals, be one of those favorites. But now it doesn't look like that anymore. Ja Morant was talking all that shit. I don't fear nobody in the West. Just like, oh, who's the team we got to worry about? The Boston Celtics. Like, come on. Now it's like, damn, every team in the West, you would put over the Grizzlies. You would have the Nuggets over the Grizzlies now. You would have the You would have the Nuggets over the Grizzlies. You would have teams like the Suns over the Grizzlies, possibly the Mavs, because they went to the Western Conference Finals last year with just Luka. Now they have Kyrie Irving. So these teams are making moves. So it just really looks like the Grizzlies are no longer one of those top teams. I don't think they're a top 4 team in the West anymore after the trade deadline. Clippers made some moves. Lakers are making moves. Lakers aren't a top 4 team, but everybody around the West is getting better. And the Grizzlies got Luke Kennard. Come on. I mean, he's all right, but the Clippers got rid of him for a reason. That tells you that. But another loser, I think, had to be the Raptors. You didn't trade any of your assets. You didn't trade anybody away. You didn't start the rebuild because next offseason, you're going to get rid of some of these guys. These guys are going to be gone. OJ Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, Siakam. These guys possibly won't be on your franchise next season. So why wait now? Why wait till the offseason? Why not make those moves now? I didn't understand why they didn't make those moves because right now you're not going to do much in the playoffs. If you make it to the playoffs, you're going to be out after the first round. So there's really nothing to gain from this season, possibly. And Scotty Barnes, too, he's been regressing this year. He hasn't looked like the Rookie of the Year candidate he was last year. So that's another thing. Like, the East is getting better as well. Jay Crowder to the Bucks. Teams in the East are making moves. And, the Raptors, I don't see them as a team that will do shit in the playoffs, possibly get in the playoffs. Now let's switch over to my winners. There's, a lot of teams that have made a lot of moves, but for my 4 winners, I think these teams made the best moves and they are positioned the best after the deadline. Now the Lakers fans, Rob Pelinka, he finally did some shit. He was cooking. Now Pat Bev is gone. People hated his ass. Didn't provide much, but, some fights, and he didn't provide much on the offensive side of things, and that's one of the things you needed the most. Now you get D'Angelo Russell, a guy who can give you 20 on any given night. He is a bucket. He comes with some extra stuff, but he is, I think, a better option at the point guard position than what they had originally. I'm not going to say Russ was a huge problem. I'm not going to say Russ was all that, but Russ was finally finding his groove off the bench and finding in his groove in that new role, but D'Angelo Russell is a better option at the point guard position. You still have Dennis Schroeder, a second guy. You got Roy Hachimura. I think I said his name right, but you got him too now. So, and then looking at some of the other people, they got Jared Vanderbilt, who I think is a huge addition for them on the defensive side of things. Huge backup center. I think that, helps. And, Thomas Bryant to the Nuggets, I was a little iffy about that. I thought they were going to use those picks they got to get a Bojan Bogdanovic, but they didn't. So, but that trade was still a little iffy, but I guess it makes sense because he requested it and he wanted out. He wanted a bigger role. So, other than that, Jared Vanderbilt will step in great as a second backup center, power forward, whatever position they put him at. So it should be great. He's great center for small ball too as well. You put him out there with, LeBron, AD, all those other guys, whatever lineups you want to construct. And then Malik Beasley, I think that's a great scoring punch off the bench. He had great success in Minnesota, with Denver, and then in Utah. But, there's some concerns with him, messing with Scottie Pippen Jr.'s mom. So that could be a problem with team chemistry. But Other than that, I think the Lakers made some very solid moves. Mo Bamba was another move. That's going to be huge for their defense as well. Another backup center, a guy that you could put in. I don't get them putting him. Somebody put him in a graphic with Dwight Howard, Shaq, all the great centers with the Lakers. He's not going to do all that. He will provide a great presence on the defensive side. So that's what they need. So I'm really happy what the Lakers did. Hey, they could make some more moves in the buyout market. Kevin Love, one of LeBron's former teammates in Cleveland, one of his friends could possibly end up in the Lakers too, out the buyout market. So there are some other moves they can make. But the Clippers, I think they were one of my favorite teams after the deadline because, man, they made some great moves. Reggie Jackson's gone. Luke Kennard's gone. They got rid of Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard, and John Wall. Three guys, I'm a huge fan of John Wall and Reggie Jackson, but the moves they got back, the players they got back were huge. You get a guy like Eric Gordon who could provide a lot off the bench for you. Huge move. He was in Houston for so many fucking years. We thought he was going to get traded every trade deadline in the past couple of years, but now he's finally in the Clippers where he started. So I think he can easily give you 15 off the bench. So that's something the Clippers need, more scoring off the bench. Him and Norman Powell, that's going to be off the bench. That's going to be huge, especially during that tough stretch of the playoffs and deep runs you trying to go on with as the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard, all of them, they need those kind of guys. Now you get Mason Plumlee as well, which is a huge addition to the backup center. Him and Zubac are going to be great with each other. That's huge for the Clippers because that's something they needed, a backup center. They had Moses Brown back there and stuff, which wasn't, doing well. And Mason Plumlee's having his best season so far with the Charlotte Hornets. So I think this was a huge addition for them. You had to give up Reggie Jackson, but so what? And you can also get Bones Highland, which I didn't expect them to do something like this. I didn't expect Denver to trade him. It didn't make any sense, but a guy like this off the bench, Norman Powell, Eric Gordon, Bones Highland off the bench, that's going to be huge. He gives you the Jamal Crawford kind of feel. He's a guy that can get a quick bucket, just really dribbles the ball extremely well. So this is a guy that the Clippers definitely needed off the bench and a great second point guard. It all sets up for the Clippers to get Russell Westbrook, which is going to be huge for them. This Clippers team, watch out. The Suns made the moves, but I really like this Clippers team as a favorite out of the West now. The other two huge winners are the Suns and the Mavs for obvious reasons. The Suns did what they needed to do, get Kevin Durant. They made that deal done, late as hell, but that deal was done. And Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, that team's going to be deadly. But it's going to come down to the buyout market. They're going to need to get some help. They're going to need to get some bench players. They're going to need to get some more depth because, trading Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder, deteriorated their bench and their depth. So that's something that they need to look out for. See some guys, some John Wall to the Suns. That would be extremely fun to watch. But the Suns team, for obvious reasons, they have the best starting five lineup in the NBA, I think. So that's going to be huge for them. They have to be the favorite right now, but I could see them and the Clippers being the two top teams in the West right now. The Mavs, I think, is a third or fourth best team in the West. I'm excited to see Luka and Kyrie play together today. Possibly, they're saying Luka is unlikely to play with the heel injury, but when those two play on the court together, it's going to be fun to watch. This playoffs, man, in the West especially, it's going to be exciting to watch. All these teams have made moves in the West to make themselves better. It's going to be a fight to whoever gets to the NBA Finals. It's going to come down to health and superstar play. But no more excuses for Chris Paul. No more excuses for Kevin Durant, like there weren't any after him coming off the Nets with all the players they had down there. But no more excuses for these guys. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, they need to, get a ring after all the stuff they put to put that team together. So I'm excited to see what happens after the buyout market too. I'm going to drop a video, discussing buyout market options, players, where should players go, what's possible destinations. I'll drop a video about that too as well. Keep you guys updated. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, peace.